in Major League Baseball, we've kind of created a bit of a monster with guys hunting velocity and spin. We have to change the way that we value pitchers, the way that we use pitchers, and the way that we train.
Sean Doolittle joining us right now on FT Live. Dude, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
How's life? What are you up to?
Oh man, I'm a working man now. I took the job as pitching strategist with the Nats in January, and it's been a whirlwind. I've been learning a lot, and I've been really enjoying it. So traveling with the team and everything, and we're in San Francisco right now, getting ready for Game 2 of a 3-game series with the Giants.
What the heck is a pitching strategist? And did you do it? Did you negotiate and be like, I want to do whatever Howie Kendrick does for the Phillies, but just with the pitching side? Like, I just want to be in the uniform and hang out with guys and touch baseballs and stuff.
Yeah, it's like the meme where there's like the dog gets a photo in the yearbook where like I'm just kind of like hanging out like a mascot. Um, but it's like it's a fancy title for I'm kind of like a Swiss Army knife dealing with the pitchers. As we get more and more information in the game, there's just so much for the pitching coach and the bullpen coach to sift through to bring back to the players on a daily basis. So I'm another set of eyes that can help. I can help give feedback to the players. I deal more probably with some of the analytics stuff. I work with our biomechanists a lot, monitoring guys' movements and mechanics during games and the workloads and stuff like that. Helping put a game plan together, sitting down with the pitcher and the catcher and the pitching coach before each game and going over the opposing hitters and prepping the guys for the whole series. So it's a fancy sounding title for an assistant pitching coach, basically.
All right, so I got to ask this because I faced you a bunch of times. You threw one pitch, so how can you be a pitching strategist? You threw a fastball. I mean, it's like not everybody can get away with that. So it's not like you're like, man, you really need to mix in a changeup because you were like, all right, I'm throwing a fastball and I might throw like a little slider curveball every 20 pitches, but it was like, all right, I'm gonna look at you like this, and then I'm gonna throw a fastball right down my elbow, and you're gonna try and hit it. No one can hit it.
So I think that's a fair question. I think, and one thing we talk a lot about with our guys is pitching to your strengths. Obviously, my strength was the fastball and the deception that I created, and I was able to make a career. I threw it 90% of the time. There's something to be said. I probably took it to the extreme during my career, but there's something to be said about throwing your pitches with conviction and having that trust in your stuff. I think that's where analytics can help guys understand why their stuff is so good, why their stuff can play and be effective in the big leagues. I think such a big part of pitching, especially we talk a lot about controlling counts, getting ahead of hitters. And if you understand your stuff and the way that your stuff plays, I think that gives you more confidence to attack the strike zone, to put a game plan together where you're not out there on the mound during your outing trying to figure it out on the fly or, hoping that this pitch is going to work. If maybe I can put it in this zone, really trying to get guys to understand, from this is, and it's not just me hyping them up, right? It's getting them to understand this is why your stuff is good. And this is why it's going to be effective against this pitcher. Throw it with conviction. And I tell them all the time. I mean, I understand it's weird. Yes, coming from me, we're working on maybe a different pitch for the guy. He's working on a cutter or a changeup, and it is almost like the old adage that those that can't do teach. I couldn't throw a cut. I tried. I spent all 11 years when I was in the league trying to get a better secondary pitch. And I think from trying to learn so many different pitches, I understand, you know, maybe how to teach it, if that makes sense. I understand because I talked to so many guys. I went to facilities during the off season to work on pitch design and stuff like that. Um, so I understand the concepts enough behind them, to where like I can give guys ideas and things to try. We can get on the Edgertronic cameras and track what your hand's doing as the ball's coming out, and basically run an experiment to try to see if a tweak here or a grip change this way, might help your shape and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've been learning a lot about how to convey information. I get to work with Jim Hickey. He's our pitching coach, and I've learned a ton from him already. So it's been really good. I'm really lucky.
What if all this tweaking and you find this pitch and you're like, you look on the Edgertronic, you look on the StatCast, and this pitch is nastiest pitch out there, and you're like, yeah, we did this. But the biomechanic guy goes, hey, this is really putting a lot of strain on his elbow. Maybe we should limit this pitch because your whole job is to make this pitch as nasty as possible. And you said, hey, this is what pitch works. But what if somebody on your staff says that pitch could cause some injury? Where do you stand then as the pitching strategist who also played and was successful for a long time?
Yeah, so the first thing that we do, we had guys in spring training, we were running pitch design sessions and stuff like that, where we're working on developing a specific pitch for a guy. And the first place we would start is actually a conversation with the training staff and the strength coaches and the biomechanists, and go back to their intake from spring training, the physical that they went through. Do they have any limitations? Are there any red flags in their intake? Do they have any strength deficiencies? From a movement and mobility standpoint, do they have any limitations? Are they biased? Some guys are biased towards pronation. Some guys are biased towards supination. Are we working against just how his body is constructed, hunting this pitch shape? Okay, if he doesn't have any limitations, what does he do well already? Is he a guy that, going back to the bias of pronation and supination at ball release, is he a guy, can we lean into what he does well already when we're tinkering with certain things? And maybe he shouldn't be hunting, a sweeper because he's not really good at supinating. Maybe we should look more, into a different shape that fits in well with just how his body naturally moves. And that's a big part of my job, is trying to create a holistic approach within the organization for guys when we talk about pitch design and pitch usage during games, usage over the course of the season, where we're looping in the training staff and the strength coaches and the biomechanists, so that we're trying to cover all those bases and account for any variable that we can control.
How do we stop this? Is that the recipe? Is that the recipe that you guys are trying to hope guys don't get injured? How do we stop this as an industry? Obviously, can't completely stop it, but how do we at least curtail it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so that's the recipe that we're trying. We feel like the communication has been good, and the reality is that I think in Major League Baseball we've kind of created a bit of a monster, and with guys hunting velocity and spin. And I saw Dallas Braden put out a tweet the other day that I thought summed it up really well. Just, I'm paraphrasing, but his words were basically that we've basically reached the peak of the human body's ability to capture velocity and create torque coming down the mound to create, some of the nastiest pitches and the highest velocities. I think I think so. Like it's our fault in Major League Baseball because we've incentivized those things, right? We've incentivized the velocities and the nasty breaking pitches and stuff like that. Because even if a guy might not be getting results, a guy that's throwing 96 to 100 with that can spin the ball, 3,000 RPMs on his breaking ball is going to get he's going to get multiple chances at the big league level because teams think that they'll be able to unlock that, and it's only a matter of time before this guy becomes an absolutely nasty reliever at the back end for somebody. So we've players see that, and I mean maybe I thought maybe this started to change. This started to change during my career. I thought maybe in 2016, 2017, you started to see a shift in the way that guys, at least in and around the big leagues, trained. That's when the balls started flying out of the ballpark and pitchers started to feel like they had to do something extra in their training on the off season to add a few ticks of velocity or create a better breaking shape. And you have to guys are training like that now. Going in middle school and high school because that's what's going to get guys to college, right? Is being able to flash mid to upper 90s, being able to spin the ball. Guys in high school are focusing solely on baseball and training in ways specifically geared toward hunting velocity at a much younger age. So by the time they get through high school, through college, into the minor leagues, and into the big leagues, they have more miles on their arm. They put their body through a lot more as far as the training methods, because their whole thing has been geared towards creating these velocities and these shapes on a TrackMan or a Rapsodo. Not necessarily like, understanding how to necessarily pitch and get outs and compete in a game, but, pitching to a TrackMan and trying to create the sexiest shapes. So I think unfortunately, we got to play the long game here, and we have to change the way that I think we value pitchers, the way that we use pitchers, and when I say and the way that we train. I think a lot of times when guys are training, they're doing plyo balls and they're lifting heavy in the weight room and they're doing a velo program in the off season to hunt velocity. I think a lot of times the cart gets put before the horse, and the guy that starts doing the plyo balls, has he gone through a screening or an assessment on the front end? Do we understand how he moves? Does he have the range of motion to be using plyo balls? Because the plyo balls, the velocity that you get from training with plyo balls is because the heavier object takes you into more extreme ranges. Can this guy handle those extreme ranges? And when he gets to those extreme ranges, does he have the stability and the strength at those extreme ranges to get in and out of those positions to create velocity? And if not, then we have to start there and make sure that we're starting from a foundation where this guy has the strength to go through a program like that and to make that a part of his daily routine. And then on the back end of that, there's extra stuff that you need to be doing if you're hunting a velocity program to protect yourself on the back end a little bit more from a strength standpoint, from an arm care standpoint. Nothing's happening in a vacuum here. The pitch clock certainly is not helping. That feels like the lowest hanging fruit, maybe. But it's the world that we live in now. So we as coaches, we have to figure out a way, to make sure that we're helping guys. The issue that we're seeing is a lot of times by the time these guys get into minor league ball and up to the big leagues, like I said, we're trying to kind of with some guys relay that foundation, as we're asking this guy to compete in games and get outs for us.
Sean, let's go into something a little more fun. You mentioned Dallas Braden earlier.
Yeah.
You mentioned Dallas Braden earlier. When you're in the Bay Area, do people ever come up to you and say, Dallas, I love that perfect game you threw?
No, I think I played here just long enough that some people would know the difference between us. But no, I haven't gotten that one yet.
Okay, because I'm like, if you put on the hat, what is it? What is that newsboy hat that he
Yeah, he's
wears?
got
You
the
guys have
flat cap. Yeah.
yeah, and you have similar beards. If you were just walked around Oakland, I guarantee you, at least one person would be like, Dallas, man, I love you on NBC Bay Area.
I'll try it. We go there after we play the Giants, so we go across the bay. I'll try it. I'll just wander around Jack London Square.
Okay, all right. I want to see it, and then you got to film it and send it to us too, because it's going to happen. I think if you just get on the BART, right? If you go from San Fran to Oakland and you're on the BART, someone's going to say, there'll be at least a double take where there's going to be someone sitting there like,
with a Braden jersey on. Put a Dallas Braden jersey on, and somebody will come up to you and say something.
I gotta up my shoe game too. Dallas has good shoe game. So if we put some Nike Air Force Ones on or something like that, some Dunks maybe, and the flat cap. I bet we could trick some people for sure.
Yes.
All right, I like it. All right, now let's talk about Oakland. How do you feel about them not being Oakland anymore? How do you feel about them being somewhere out west in the state of California, maybe Nevada, athletics?
It's heartbreaking, man. It's infuriating. I feel awful for the fans. I feel really bad for the people that work in that organization. Because once you get under ownership, the people who are working for that club behind the scenes, in the training room, in the clubhouses, the ushers, the security guards, the people that work at the stadium, they're in limbo right now, and I don't think that's fair for everything that they do to the club. The fans are in limbo because I don't know if anybody. I don't know what this Vegas move is, if it's actually going to happen or not. I think they're getting more pushback there than they thought they were gonna. But from a fan standpoint, they lost the Warriors, they lost the Raiders in the last few years, and now it looks like they're losing the A's as well. So I feel so lucky to have played in Oakland, for that fan base, for that organization. That organization gave me a shot to change the course of my career when I switched to pitching. So I'll always be grateful for my time in Oakland and playing for those fans. It was a special time. Obviously, the Coliseum is way past its prime, and the players and the fans deserve a better ballpark to call home. But moving the team, into this purgatory situation in Sacramento before they maybe go somewhere else, to Vegas or otherwise. It feels like a failure. I feel awful for the fans. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, shoot, when I got drafted and I signed my contract, I got to go to the Coliseum, and I signed a contract in Billy Bean's office, and he had the renderings for a new ballpark. This was 2007, and that was supposed to be in Fremont in the South Bay. And my entire time in pro ball, it's been an ongoing conversation about where the team's going to move. And at the end, the city of Oakland finally got there, and they were given more money and a bigger space right on the water downtown Oakland. And they decided that they wanted that 9-acre plot near the airport in Vegas. And I'm not an architect, but 9 acres not a ton to work with. How are you going to create a good experience for the players and the fans on such a small space? While you're taking a team away from such a loyal fan base. none of it adds up, and I feel for the people that are kind of caught in between here.
By the way, you mentioned something earlier before we go dig into this a little bit deeper, but people forget you were like a two-way guy coming out of Virginia. So
Yeah.
couldn't hit, or well, you were like, wait a second here, this hitting thing is hard.
Hitting is really hard. But if you can believe it, injuries derailed my time as a hitter. When I was in the minor leagues, I tore my patellar tendon in my left knee twice, and I tore a tendon in my wrist, my right wrist, on a swing and a miss in 2011. So by that time, I had missed all of 2009, 2010, and 11 with injuries. And going back to when I signed, the A's had said, we liked you because you came with an insurance plan. And, if in 4 or 5 years it's not working out, they said home plate's not moving. So, we might want to explore that. I was approached by our farm director, Keith Lippman, in the summer of 2011, after I had tore a tendon in my wrist, and I was in a cast, and they came to me and asked if I wanted to start a throwing program. I was doing my wrist rehab in the mornings, trying to come back as a hitter, and in the afternoons I was long tossing, I was working on mechanics and thinking about pitching. And that summer progressed, and the wrist didn't recover the way that we thought, and I was looking at a surgery with a really long recovery timeline, and so I asked to switch. I had started throwing some bullpens and live BPs at that point, and they said, like, yeah, like they brought an advanced scout to watch me throw a live BP in Arizona at the complex, and by that night, the assistant GM had called and said I could switch if I wanted to, and he explained, he's like, you're gonna have to start back in the bus leagues, and we're gonna bring you to instructs, and we'll basically just see how this goes. And so yeah, like I was really 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 lucky to get that second chance, and I'll always be grateful for the way that the people in Oakland, the staff, the way that they handled that. Like, I had the time, because I was in a cast, I had the time to build my arm up before I really started letting it rip on the mound. And but never going through that process at any point was I thinking, like, oh my gosh, like, this is my ticket to get to the show and establish myself in the big leagues. Like, I was just so far at the end of my rope, having missed 3 full seasons with injury, that, like, I was just looking for a way to get back on the field. I didn't have any expectations for it. I was just enjoying being able to do something other than rehab for a little bit.
At what point in your big league career then did you stop looking at hitters and being like, dude, bro, this guy sucks? I could have totally made it. At what point did you stop becoming, because right after you're done hitting, you're like the best hitter ever. You're like, if I was still hitting, I would never get out. And then at one point you're like, couldn't do it anymore.
I mean, I think I probably still do it, like, to an extent, but like I can vividly remember, like, sitting in the bullpen in Oakland, like, when we're tucked down the left field line there on the field, and just like watching guys and just being like, just take it the other way, like, just stay stay inside it, and then like in like the very next breath, I'm like, it's so hard, and I'm so glad I don't have to do that anymore. Maybe I'm a control freak, and I like pitching because I like dictating. I like being in control. Hitting, you're just reacting, and it's, especially now as the game's progressed, where the average fastball velo is up around 95 miles an hour. When I came into the league, that was hard. Like, I threw 95, and that was gas. And now it's like, that's stock. That's stock. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I used to throw hard.
Hey,
I want
to. Well, I want to finish with this because I know Du will like this. So the other day, AJ was telling a story about getting called up or, getting up from the minors real quick and then working with a veteran who just is like, yep, let's figure it out. And I remember, what was it? Brad Radke told him, just use the force. So it got me thinking, Sean Doolittle's a pretty big Star Wars fan. And I would say a viral moment in my life that stood out in 2019 was going all out. Do you remember this? And then it went nuts. Like, we were cracking up. I was with Dan Plesac at the time, and he just kind of showed up behind us and was like, "Hey guys, what are you doing?"
They pulled me out. Like, they pulled me out there, and you guys, like Kyle, our PR guy, was like, they asked for you, like, go over there, and I was like, they're very clearly in the middle of talking, and he was like, no, like, just go, like, we're just sending guys like back and forth from the celebration to do some media stuff, and then back and forth, and so the lightsaber was just one of those weird things that I had during the playoff run. We had all kinds of different stuff going on in the clubhouse, and it ran out of batteries finally after Game 7. So it lasted. We had shoot. I think it lived through 4 champagne celebrations. And so I had it when I had it for the parade. It was toast. The battery port had like rusted over from all the champagne, and I couldn't save it. So it's got a very special place in my house now. But we had that was a lot of fun.
That was awesome. Yeah, and hey, it served its purpose. It made it through the series.
It did.
And then it
did. I spent time cleaning the inside. I had to clean the inside before the World Series because it started to short out. Well, the battery ports were it was a mess after 3 champagne celebrations. We had to get it through one more. So use the force, baby.
I love it. Well, dude, it was great catching up with you, man. Keep it up. Excited to see the work that you do with the Nats pitchers, and thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, dude, by the way, before you go, I just want to say this. Next time if I drive all the way down to Palm Beach, bro, and we chase you down, all we're asking for is 30 seconds, dude. That's it. Just 30 quick seconds. It's okay.
I'm sorry. I was very new in my job, and I didn't want to I was like, no, I have to get out to the game. Like, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't want Rizzo to see me like he's see me on foul territory. He's like, you're supposed to be in the bullpen helping the pitcher get ready for the game.
We had Davey on. I figured you could follow Davey at least. Davey's in charge.
I felt like a rookie all over in spring training again. And the producer for your show came up and was like, can we just get a couple minutes? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I think I got to be out for the game. Like, I didn't know what the rules were. So I apologize, but I'm glad it worked out. I like talking to you guys. I like seeing your stuff on social media, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. That was great, by the way, because Matt Lecroy, meanroy, was dying. He's like, I got to go watch a sim game, and Matt Lecroy was like, can I come on the show? We're like, no. Nope.
That's good. He's the best, man. He's the best.
Oh, he's the best. He is the best.
Well, Sean, thanks again, man. We'll catch you down the road. Actually, we might be in DC, so we'll catch you there.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.